Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. Why you need to retire early, based on a medical study. A medical study that actually proves your job is killing you. First, I want to talk about correlation versus causation. Quickest, simplest example that almost anybody who's ever worked in law enforcement can give you on the association of correlation versus causation is the number of assaults that happen in parks and the amount of ice cream that is sold increases and decreases at the same every month. Correlation, causation. Does ice cream make people go crazy and attack each other? No. It's warmer when you tend to buy ice cream. And when it's warmer, there tends to be more people in parks. Correlation versus causation. This medical study tried to make it look like the causation of this, the results of this study. And I'm going to show that it's just the correlation. The medical study, which was a pool study, showed that for people who take naps, you are, as a whole, as a populace, 37% less likely to have heart disease as a pool than this study. But when they took the study and they said, let's look at just men, even just for men, but let's look at just men, they say that their study showed that it almost doubled. It was 68% of men who took naps were less likely to have heart disease. So in the medical study, they tried to show that causation was if you take naps, that causes you to have less heart disease. And I'm going to show that it's just correlation. And I can prove it with taking it one more step. Thank you, All-Nighter, for sending the binder strategy to Jason. I would love to do a collaboration with him, get that information out to more people, even though it's not me trying to sell anything, because my binder course is free. At DionTalk.com, you can figure out how to get your tenants to ask you to raise the rent. But here's the causation versus correlation. The medical study showed that if you take naps, you're less likely to have heart disease. Now let's look at the correlation. Who can take naps? Right? It's not the person working 16 hours a day. And if you're working 16 hours a day, I would guess there's probably a pool study out there that they could do that can show you're more likely to have heart disease because of the stress you're putting on your body. Your job is killing you. A great reason to retire early. So if you could take naps, who can? The person who frees up their schedule. The person who retires early and makes work optional. Maybe they work part-time because they want some social interaction. Blah. Maybe they free up their time so they can travel and do scuba diving, hang out at the water, and get out on the, I think it's almost warm enough to do the paddleboard today. We'll see if my lazy kicks in. Wish I could figure out how to do a live stream from the paddleboard, but I have the balance of a pregnant yak on a merry-go-round. So, not going to happen. Unless I get a water camera. Well, there's a thought. That would make for some funny video. So the person who can take the nap is going to nap 3, 4, once a week. Even the pool study showed even once a week taking a nap reduced your risk of heart disease. And so, yes, there's a few of my friends that, after Matt the lumberjack landlord sent me the clip on this, telling me how I saved his life by convincing him to retire early so he could take naps like I do. I've sent this to a few people, and I'm making this video to send to a few people. And Michelle, I agree, naps are awesome for what it does to your body. Nap, it does a body good. There's for those 80s kids out there. So if you can take a nap, you're less likely to have heart disease because you have the less stressful job, the less time in a stressful job. But now let's take it one step further. This is where I said I would take it one step further and prove that it's correlation, not causation. The people who can take 3 to 4 naps a week are less likely to have heart disease. The people who take 6 or 7 naps a week, meaning one a day, are more likely to have heart disease. Let's take it to the next step. If you've freed up your schedule and you've made work optional and you've reduced a lot of the stress in your life that you might not even know is there, you're going to reduce your risk of heart disease. Stress is one of the main contributing factors. This is from me, just Dion with my PhD over here, public high school diploma. So read into it what you will. But the person who's napping 3 or 4 times a week, or 1 to 4 times a week like I do, can because of their schedule, because of their free time. But that person that's doing it 6 or 7 times a week because they have to, because they have multiple health concerns that are aligning: sleep apnea, diabetes, obesity, which in this country seems to be, I would say, about 140% of us are about $1.240 over what we're supposed to be. So yeah, there's a lot of health concerns that are going to pile up together and increase your risk of heart disease. So if you're sitting there thinking, I'm lazy like Dion, I love to take naps, but you're taking one every day, you should go see your medical professional and find out, am I doing this because I'm lazy and I enjoy life, or am I doing this because I have some things I need to take care of? Because one of the worst things to do would be to figure out how to retire early, how to make work optional, and then pass away a couple of years later because of bad health things. You are in charge of your schedule. If you have a sedentary job like truck driving or sitting at a desk, it's your job to have a workout or exercise routine. If you retire early and you make work optional and you don't even have to get out of bed to go to that terrible cubicle that is killing you, it is your job to have a workout routine. It is your job to have some form of exercise or some form of activity that's going to keep you healthy. It's your job. And I take this from Joe Kuhn, who I watched a lot of before I retired, who talks about one of the biggest things he did after he retired was actually start paying attention to his health. And it was one of his regrets. He wished he did it sooner. So I am taking care of my health exactly the same I did for the last 20 to 30 years. I work out 2 to 3 times a week. I primarily focus on calisthenics or some free weights, but I'm definitely not a health nut. Everyone I talk to says I should probably eat healthier, but not gonna. Don't like people telling me what to do. It's one of the other reasons why I wanted to retire early. This is a nice short live that I'm doing. If you want your questions answered completely, thoroughly, even your questions where you're just trying to make fun of me because you hate capitalism, you hate people who are successful, you hate landlords, you hate guys that are short, fat, and bald and ugly, I'm your guy. I will answer all your questions on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, where I talk about how I was able to make work optional, why I made work optional, things that worked, things that didn't work. And I like to share the stories of people who are doing it now, today, who want to get to the point where they can take naps and improve their health. My friends like Josh and Mary buying their first duplex in a time where everybody is saying it is impossible to do it now. Or Curtis, a PE teacher, who everybody's saying teachers don't make enough, is buying his second house hack. I'm going over there this weekend. I'm probably, if he'll let me, going to do a live where we look at something he can do to increase the value or increase the rents with the property that he's done. There are people today in this harsh climate that aren't sitting back and going, my health doesn't matter. I don't care about taking naps because it's too hard. It's never been easy. And everyone is predicting stock market crash right around the corner. Everyone is predicting housing values drop right around the corner. Let me just go over, just before I wrap up this video, in the last decade, just the decade, 50 years of examples of this, but I'm going to use a decade because this is about how long I've been investing. In 2013, when I got that first duplex, everybody said, don't do it. We got a double crash coming, and prices right now in 2013 started going above where they were in 2008. And everyone knew that prices cause crashes. That's not what happened, so I bought a duplex. 2015, when I bought the second one, everybody was saying, don't do it. That's stupid. The silver tsunami is about to hit. We're going to have a flood of inventory. All the older people are retiring. We're going to flood the inventory, not realizing that if somebody didn't sell a property, they're also buying one. So that's 2 transactions that cancel each other out. 2018, when I was paying off a property on mistake and had just purchased a duplex, everybody said, don't do it. Nobody can buy a property when interest rates are above 6% and make a profit. It's impossible. You can't do it. So I bought one and paid one off because I'm stupid. In 2020, when there was an eviction moratorium, and I'm going to say plandemic because it's both sides that did the plandemic. There were things in place before Red left, and there were things in place since Blue got in there. So I'm attacking both sides. So hate me equally. But everybody said, don't buy. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So I closed on a 4-plex that I was house hacking. And then I emptied out my retirement accounts and bought a triplex because that was a better use of my capital. And then In 2023, when interest rates, 2021, when interest rates started to go up and prices hadn't come down yet, and everybody said, don't buy, interest rates are going to go up because prices are going to crash. I bought a duplex that is appreciated over $100,000 now, doubling the amount of money I have in it. And rents are close to double what it was a couple of years ago. In 2023, when everybody said everything's going to crash, it's the end of the world, nobody can find deals, I expanded my market. I started watching days on market instead of making fast offers, and I found a couple of deals. Went under contract and bought this place with a terrible view where I can make these videos for you. Every year has been a terrible year to buy, but 10 years from now, everybody's going to be thinking, man, one of two things. I wish I'd bought in 2023 or 2024, or I'm so glad I bought in 2023 or 2024. Do you know that 3 years from now, people are going to be saying, can you imagine that in 2024, you could buy a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex with 5% down conventional loans? When that goes away, people are going to say, we're probably never going to see that again in our lives. And right now is one of your rare chances to take advantage of that opportunity. And I'm here to convince you that even when everybody says it's a terrible time to buy, I call bull